Okay, so we have a new Shudder original, people. It is called Quicksand, and it is from director Andres Beltran, written by Matt Pitts. It is produced by Sean Patrick Burke, Jason Cherubini, and Nicholas Reyes. Executive produced by Alexis Winter, Richard Swizzer, Martin Ramos, Matt Pitts, Chris Meyer, John Harris, Daniel Gillum, Tiffany Burke, and Tim Bunsen. Music is handled by Manuel Jose Gordillo, Santiago Otoya is on cinematography. Alejo Alas edits the piece. Sofia Guzman is production design. Set decoration is Juan Pablo Gari. Costume design is Julian Gribala. We've got hair and makeup, Ana Di Rio and Maria Camilla Maja. And our cast. Well, Sophia is played by Carolina Gatan, and Josh, her husband, is played by Alan Hawco. You have Marcus, who is Josh's friend, played by Sebastian Eslava. And then there's Diego, who is played by Andreas Castaneda. So the gist of this story, people, is we follow a married couple, Sophia and Josh, almost divorcing, who become trapped in quicksand while hiking through a rainforest in Colombia. They will battle the elements of the jungle and must work together in order to survive. So, right, here's the thing, you know what I mean? Because it's like a couple almost divorcing find themselves in quicksand. So, you think, how the fuck do we get to quicksand from that? Well, it's this, right? So they decide to do this conference, right? Josh's friend Marcus says he's arranging this event and he's asked them to both speak on their relative fields. So that's why they go. And I think Sophia is trying to reinvigorate her career. I think Josh thinks it might bring them closer together. And I think especially because Sophia's Colombian, so going back to where she grew up and just all of this kind of stuff. So that's that. Right now, they've got a few days before they're due to talk. So Marcus and Josh were looking to do a hike. Marcus can't, and Sophia decides to go. That's what happens. That's how we get to that point. The film opens up, and we have these two people, one being Diego. They're out in this forest. We're not quite sure what they're doing. Now, maybe we are because there's subtitles, and the subtitles are fucking tiny, right? Hard to read, tiny, moving real fast. So maybe I missed. Like, we do find out later on in the film why, but I'm not quite sure if at the beginning it's clear. But they're in this forest, they've got guns. We hear noises, one of them runs off, and then we just, have something, it looks like it's coming towards him, and he screams, and then we cut to Josh and Sophia in a car going to the conference. So that's the film, right? So yeah, like at the bit, because we don't know their situation at the start, and it just had two people not really talking, and it's just weird. And only later do we then discover, oh, right, that's what's going on. So we have them on this hike, right? Something goes down, which then leads Sophia to be in this Quicksand, right? And then Josh ends up being in there as well. It's all a bit of a palaver, people. It's all a bit of a palaver. I'm like, there's a conspiracy that we see happen, which doesn't get addressed. Doesn't get addressed at all, which is very odd. I thought it's very odd. Now, yeah, I call it a conspiracy. You know, it might not be a global level conspiracy, but it's a fucking conspiracy, you know? And yeah, it doesn't get addressed. And there seems to be these huge ramifications around this. So I thought that seemed very odd. That seemed very odd. Right. We also, it's just this dynamic between Sophia and Josh, which is just all it's very formulaic, right? We have this couple who are like, barely want to talk to each other, always arguing, you know, just jumping down each other's throats for not really crazy reasoning, you know? So we have that, but then over the course, then they start to talk, right? It's one of those. It's one of those. But I do feel because they're in the quicksand pretty early, and the film could be this kind of therapy, this look at their relationship, what's going on, because remember Buried, right? That Ryan Reynolds film, and he's in a coffin. That I really enjoyed that, and I thought the way they handled it, we had some flashbacks and him contemplating life and things and stuff. I thought that was done so well, and you weren't really just someone in a box. Ugh, you know? And I thought this could have done that. This could have done that. And it doesn't really. Right? We don't really establish the things that pulled them apart. Like she mentioned some shit, but it all feels very lackluster. You know? Like the threats, they're in the Amazon, right? They're in a fucking rainforest. Not the Amazon, they're in a rainforest, sorry. Now, you'd think there's mad predators, right? Mad predators all over the spot. There's only really two things that affect them, which you're just like, wait, huh? Wait, that's it? That's it all seemed a bit like, well, that's very convenient. Everything seemed a little too convenient, and especially the end, right? You pretty much know what's gonna happen. They throw in this other thing, which is a bit infuriating, right? And supposedly, this thing that happens to them both seems to work very differently, which are just like, wait, huh? Like they establish something and then completely ignore it later on. And it's just like, wait, what are we doing here? What is this? Yeah. I'm like, look, I think they're trying to show, right, this situation with Quicksand. You know what I mean? Now they don't do the thing where people are ultimately sucked in, and so they're showing, and I think if you're intelligent, you know what Quicksand is, right? You know that the movement is the thing that can put you in a worse situation. So you stay calm. Right. So they're trying to show that and establish what this is, but it just doesn't feel like it has got the energy to sustain you for 95 minutes. Right? You can understand what they're trying to do and wanting to do, but for me, it doesn't really hit those heights, right? Doesn't deliver on those things, unfortunately, people. Unfortunately. But maybe it works for you, right? I think if you like those survival type of films, like Crawl and things like that. Now, yes, a completely different genre, let's say. Right, Crawl's a crocodile, so things like. But you have to think it is in that kind of vein of film. So if that's what you like, right, and you're happily to dispel belief for 95 minutes, then Quicksand could be for you. It's on Netflix. No, it's not even on Netflix. I don't know what's going on with me, people. It's on Shudder. Right? It's hitting Shudder. So yeah, if you've got that account, you can check it out. So yeah, Quicksand.